Hey there. My name's Carpo, and I'd like to tell you about the time that I chopped down a tree for no reason. So, when I was a kid, my father used to take me out into the woods all the time, out into the desert on vacations. He taught me to respect nature. He taught me to respect the natural landscape, to never litter, to clean up after myself, and to leave no trace. He passed away when I was around 15. Yeah, and it was around that time, maybe I was about 16, a little older than that. A friend and I, my friend Mike Barnum, bless his soul, haven't seen the guy in years. We were best friends. We met on the school bus when we were 12. The first day of school, said, "Hey, you want to ride bikes?" And the rest is history. We went down and decided to spend some time in Tryon Creek State Park, which is a beautiful little stretch in Lake Oswego. And one end of the park, this green, I guess this belt like valley runs along where there's a stream. Tryon Creek is what it's called. And through the creek, right above the creek, raised up about 10 feet on these pillars, is this long concrete pipe. That's a giant sewage pipe. This pipe you could walk along from point to point. It was pretty wide, good size, 5 feet or so. And there would be trees next to it at certain areas. And got to this one area where there were these two standing trees. And we say about yay big around. I don't know how tall, but, medium-sized growing tree. And we decided to pull out our hatchets, or our machetes, I don't recall, and say, hey, let's just chop these trees down. So we did. It took quite a while. Didn't have a very sharp axe, but eventually, indeed, the trees cracked and fell. And we said, woohoo! And we continued along our way. Now, at the same time, we were building a sweat lodge just up the creek. This area was never visited by people, obviously, because of the stinky sewer pipe, but there were no main trails down to there, so we'd go in this back area down this hill. And we built a sweat lodge, and it was left alone for years. We used it a couple times in this little clearing. If you're not familiar with a sweat lodge, it's just what it sounds like. A dome where you go in and you have hot rocks, pour water on it. It's like a sauna, traditional Native American style. And we were very into that. And the reason I mention that is because he had Blackfoot Native American blood, and so he was very interested and fascinated with the history. He read this book called Rolling Thunder, and we would talk about Native culture. And even despite that, despite my father teaching me what he taught me, and despite him having this connection to his culture, we chopped down 2 trees for no reason. Now, it doesn't sound like a big deal, because it wasn't. I thought about it and thought that was pretty stupid. Why did I do that? But it didn't go down in history as some infamous failure that I made that everyone was mad at me about, that I got attacked for, because no one knew about it, but just because it wasn't that big of a deal. I want to use that to compare to today, where every kid has a phone and they record everything they do. Everything that you've done since you started uploading videos or sharing on Facebook or elsewhere. It's all documented and held for life. So if you're 15 today and you're recording yourself chopping down your metaphorical tree, that could come back to haunt you in decades. There are no secrets anymore. When I was a kid, we could hold secrets and we could do stupid things and not have it come back to bite us in the ass. And we did a little bit of troublemaking, but generally we were pretty good. Minus the one time a friend of mine pulled all the air brakes on parked train cars and rolled 10 train cars full of bark chips down the tracks, and they derailed down this hill, and they had to bring in helicopters and cranes. It was pretty crazy, but he paid the price for that one. Yeah, we did some dumb things, but you know what? It was our childhood. And I'm able to look back on those as an adult and say, that was dumb. When you're 16, you just do dumb shit. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are. It doesn't matter how you were raised. Kids do dumb things because that's the only way to learn not to do dumb things. Unfortunately, most of the dumb things that I did were long forgotten. So, is it really a good thing that we're preserving all the dumb things we do now? I watched a video the other day about a YouTuber who I wasn't that familiar with, but I'd heard his name, Bo Burnham, and how he started doing his YouTube channel way back when they started, like around 2000. Well, I think they started in 2005. He started in 2009, whatever it was. He was like 16. And it was an interview with him now, 10, 11 years later, saying, yeah, I did some dumb shit. And, he regrets it, but it is what it is. It's immortalized. But he was just coming up during that age where everybody started preserving it. These days, everyone saves everything. And it's interesting because I wonder, when I started YouTube in 2010 or 11, it's been about 10 years now, and I can look back on some of my earliest videos and say, wow, that was kind of dumb. I can't believe I believed that or thought that. But even back then, I was at least 35, and I was able to determine whether I should or shouldn't say something because I developed that awareness of the internet and the dangers of sharing everything. There are still some things I won't talk about. Whenever somebody brings up, say, firearms or something like that, I just bite my tongue because I don't want to be associated. I'm smart enough to know that my comments, every comment, everything I say, will always be stored. And so I'm very cautious not to raise my fist in anger too often at specific causes because it can fall back on you. It would be like those trying to attack Scientology, for example. If you bring up Scientology and you make videos about it, you'll get harassed by their people. Is it worth it to you? Go for it. But, the thing is to know where the danger lies and know that there are people out there who are crazy, and that makes it tricky. So if you're a kid uploading to the internet, there's some crazy people watching you. There's some weirdos watching you all the time. It's not supposed to, I would say, yeah, it is supposed to scare people. I was going to say I'm not here to scare anyone, but it's true. We all know this is true, so I don't know why we're so surprised about it. I don't really know what to do about it, except just to warn the younger generation, if you're going to do stupid shit, don't film it and post it online. Be smart, be tactful. Keep something to yourself. I know that it's hard not to share everything, but it's easy to keep your personal life separate from what you choose to do online, even though a lot of what's online now is at least catered to look like people's personal life. Of course, not everybody lives like Jake Paul, right? Oh, those guys, they've ruined the internet for kids, but that's a whole different story. It's just, I really feel that the kids today are having a hard time. And my son's, I have a 9-year-old, or 12-year-old as well. He's at that age. He's preteen, going through he's into games. He likes gaming a lot. And as a parent, you have to decide, what do you let your kid be exposed to? How much internet? What type? Kids these days hear everything, and nothing's sacred anymore. There are no more good kids, it seems like. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's not kids' fault. It's just the way society is now. Just refraining from cussing, even when I was with my friends, like learning those important values, preserving your own secrets a little bit, and preserving your own future by not posting every single thing you do online. But, so that's my message. I guess it's for the kids. Don't share all your shit online, and get away from Facebook first thing. Because all it is just toxic nonsense. Just, AI reading your comments, figuring out what you like, and the kids of tomorrow are just going to be walking billboards, if they aren't already, with all their merch and sponsored sales. And the merch isn't bad if it's good merch, but the ones who have these like ads within their, videos, these adults who make videos for 12-year-olds and try to sell them makeup, it just makes me sick. And so I can only speak, I guess, to the boys cutting down trees, but with the young girls, you don't need all that crappy makeup, all right? There's nothing wrong with makeup itself. I'm just saying, it's just a sales pitch, a constant sales pitch, and the kids are just being marketed to just like we were. But instead of seeing a commercial during the Smurfs, you see these ads that you don't even realize are ads because your people are using them. Your heroes are using them. So it's a totally different world. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening.